Well, ahead of an economic summit in San Francisco with leaders of several countries expected to attend, the Israel-Hamas conflict has added a fresh dynamic to the testy relationship between China and America, even as Washington is hoping Beijing can use its influence with Iran to prevent an escalation into a wider war in the Middle East. Following hours of meetings between the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and the senior U.S. diplomats in Washington, U.S. officials said the issue came up frequently during Wang's meetings, but it was unclear whether Washington was able to get Beijing on board. China has condemned violence and attacks on civilians in the conflict, but has not named Hamas in its comments. America has said there were frank exchanges between Blinken and Wang Yi over the erupting conflict in the Middle East. Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will be hosting her Chinese counterpart, Vice Premier He Lifeng, for 2 days of intense diplomacy. The world's two biggest economies have had tense relations as they vie for influence in Asia-Pacific and beyond, and Beijing boosts cooperation with Russia amid the Ukraine-Russia war. But the talks on the 9th and 10th of November are part of a broader push between the U.S. and Chinese officials aimed at stabilizing ties and smoothing economic relations. The discussion will address appropriate responses to barriers posed by China's non-compliance with market principles. And according to reports, Yellen is expected to warn He against using massive industrial subsidies to state firms and shutting U.S. companies out of domestic markets. Moreover, a senior U.S. Treasury official has downplayed the idea that there would be specific deliverables from the Yellen-He meeting, saying it was not a policy trade situation where we trade one thing for another. The official said a key aim for Yellen was gaining a better understanding of how the U.S.-China economic communication line will work and how to make sure that it is not vulnerable to shocks, adding that there will be more frequent interactions going forward. The talks on Thursday and Friday precede the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, which is expected to serve as a backdrop for the meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and the Chinese leader Xi Jinping to meet. China has not yet confirmed Xi's attendance at the California summit, but the U.S. officials have said they are optimistic.
And letters.